The anthem is all about resilience, resistance and a refusal to give up ground. Clearly echoing the sentiments and intentions of the drivers here today. Nico.
Barcelona wants the Spanish Grand Prix a new name for this year as we get set for the Barcelona. A very warm welcome to you from Barcelona. Once the Spanish Grand Prix, a new name for this year as we get set for the Barcelona Catalunya Grand Prix. It's round 7 of the FIA Formula One World Championship, and the final year Formula One visits this circuit before it goes on rotation with Spa from 2027. The Circuit de Catalunya has always been one of the great all-round tests. Just over 4.6 kilometres, 2.8 miles in length, 14 corners, and a layout that asks everything of the car. Front end grip through the medium and high speed sections, traction out of the slow corners, tyre management across a long race distance will be crucial. Pirelli going one step softer this year, the C2 hard, the C3 medium and the C4 soft. And in scorching conditions today, how those tyres hold up could define the afternoon. Track temperature is high, degradation will be a major factor, and strategy will be every bit as important as outright pace. Let's run you through how they line up then for the Barcelona Catalunya Grand Prix. From back to front, it will be a lonely Lance Stroll in 21st. His teammate Alonso will start from the pit lane. Just ahead of them then on row 10, it's the two Cadillacs, Sergio Perez ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Ahead of them, we'll see Alex Albon makes his 96th start for Williams. He'll be just behind Esteban Ocon in the Haas from 17th. Carlos Sainz makes it two Spaniards not inside the top 15, and his Williams from 16th, just behind Ollie Bearman. Alpine lock out 13th and 14th. Franco Colapinto ahead of Pierre Gasly. Just outside of the top 10 then, it's Gabriel Bortoleto in 12th, with Arvid Lindblad disappointed to miss out on Q3 yesterday. Most disappointed will go to Charles Leclerc. That crash in qualifying yesterday leaving him down in 10th. Nico Hülkenberg's first top 10 start of the year. Liam Lawson continues his good form, 8th for Racing Bulls, behind Oscar Piastri in the McLaren, and Red Bull 5th and 6th. Max Verstappen ahead of Isaac Hadjar. On the second row, the reigning world champion Lando Norris lines up in 4th behind the current championship leader Kimi Antonelli, and that is your front row. Lewis Hamilton in 2nd, and on pole position is George Russell, his 10th career pole in his 100th Grand Prix. He's behind me up in the commentary box. We talk about all he's got to do is win. He's that far back in the points.
And of course, he can't afford to go away. We've got Russell and Hamilton on the front row of the grid. It'll be all about managing the tyre accident. But of course, at the same time, it's got to be a really firm. That's not going to be the story. The story will be how long can.
Maybe even more stops depending on any kind of Satan. 65 metres, it will seem like an age. So for us across the race in race control.
Fascinating strategies about to unfold. We're going to start Lewis Hamilton on as a first and out of the first corner first. Crucially, we asked them the question, if you lead on lap 1...
It's quite a bold strategy though, because they'll keep your car cooler, you can control you, but that gives him... but that's a good start, and the second Hamilton will have a little bit more mechanical grip from him for any reason, then there's kind of fresh set of tyres.
I think we're going to be rather bitcher, air temperature just above 30. To continue out there on their formation lap, trying Hamilton on the soft, Antonelli and Norris behind, both on a fine pace. Yes, they thought they'd be further off than they were. Own kind of race will be Aston Martin. Lance Stroll's going to start higher as well. So we'll have 21 cars last spot for too long.
He's right on the yellow. Antonelli a little bit behind his yellow line, and there to give the driver half a chance to look through the body. Alonso is obliged to go in the pit lane for those soft tyres. I think he could be quite a menace.
A few midfield runners who fancy their chances are trying to make use of that traction, but around Barcelona, the race can come into victory. Can McLaren apply any? On pole position is George Russell with the bet to the floor as we go racing in Barcelona. Lando Norris and Kimi Antonelli side by side behind the top 3 as they started.
And will he make that stick all the way down to turn 4?
Of the Red Bull coming through turn 4, but for George Russell, with Lando Norris getting good traction out of it.
Verstappen very feisty as expected and going well.
Really good start from Charles Leclerc. Russell first though leads the way right behind, and it was a pretty poor start though. Finds himself just ahead of the Audi of Gabi Bortoletto, who that wide for good measure as well, picks up the gravel so to the points in 10th. Nico Hulk in 9th ahead of
the pace. He's already beyond he's on the right tyres as well to extend, so that can come at Lewis Hamilton in
tyre disparity there. Ocon on the soft tyre, Behrman. There's not a lot of difference between those soft compounds, but as we're clear of Lewis Hamilton, those soft tyres will start to
tactics for Red Bull with Max Verstappen as they've kept or not later on. We'll keep an eye on that, and that's why in the pack, in the dirty air, full tanks of fuel.
According to Pirelli, if you are on that medium tyre, you won't come sooner, it could come later. We'll have to keep an eye on struggling with their starts, trying to catch up to the back of outside. Nicely done for the Frenchman in the red book. Hulkenberg at bay in 9th.
Yeah, Hulkenberg and running 9th at the moment. And they're really McLaren and the one Red Bull that's up Austin back for the rest of the points.
To the back of Lance Stroll. Lindblad leads up a few moments ago. We'll be keeping an eye on to 2 seconds now.
Yeah, I think 22.7. It's not a great lap. Hacksawing away at the wheel, really struggling to keep the car on these soft tyres as soon as possible. They were very well behaved in the first few corners.
So that will weigh heavy in the strategy. Last time out, I think he'll at least be pleased he got going. He fell.
I'm not sure I want to hear his radio call though, because it doesn't matter for him, because it's costing him serious result procedure, and there's a lot of feel. And it's again then Russell now 2.5 seconds heading around in the turbulent air of another box of Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. Initially better than Russell. Looking down, unusually didn't, because that's what they were doing earlier on in the Norris and Antonelli. There are the two. Is going to have a good start here. That's Hadjar started.
Come for Charles Leclerc. Hadjar did get away, but just from the monogas and going toe to toe with the Racing Bulls.
And that's what happened to him. He didn't bog down with the pack at the start of any motor race, running a different pace to you.
Yeah, and that's actually now been elevated to under investigation.
It would be Hulkenberg, wouldn't it? Didn't really have
ahead of his teammates, but Ocon on the soft, as it looks like Hadjar's just managed to get ahead of Gasly, but Lindblad is a problem for Lance Stroll.
The last retirement of the day, but it does look like it's a I'll find out the reason as soon as I can, but it might be his last Barcelona Grand Prix, but we'll see.
Thanks, Ted. Out, qualifying his teammate Fernando Alonso for the of 66 then, and Russell really just expect Kimi Antonelli in 3rd to sing down to turn 1, and
that corners of the race, wasn't he? And that was nearly the second for Leclerc could break. Unfortunately.
Remembering that on the way to the grid, Kimi Antonelli wasn't ahead of the start of the race, but just something to...
8. Just how much all the cars are... You can see the back end of Leclerc's car trying to now in massive management mode, just trying to survive.
The outside at 4, and you can see the sliding wheels further down. Here we come then, Charles Leclerc all over. Compromised through turn 2, round the right. He gets a nose ahead, but Piastri will have the inside.
Place of Piastri is really struggling just to almost keep it infamous turn 3. That's such a long corner. It just builds up and up and up. And unlike in between quite often, this place hasn't.
Mounting a comeback, trying to get in all the way down the pack. And now here's here in Formula 3 machinery and Formula 2 machine. Arvid Lindblad. Right, end of lap across.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. Just listening into the radio. Look, stream, I'll let you do this one.
Yeah, Lindblad moves to the end. Really has to bail out of it. Almost takes to the escape. Wants another points finish off the back of Monaco 2.
In the Alpines, taking completely different lines. Racy between those two.
Sliding everywhere. Back to your crew.
Yeah, the leader in the 125s, Russell up at the front in the 22.3 seconds behind Russell.
Tires on before your main rival That's important for George Russell out front. He to be the first to, if he can just keep building that, it gives him a and still very much stay out in the lead.
23.4. Antonelli another 10th behind, driving away to keep that car behind, while the driver behind is not going to want any of it.
And Gasly trying to get the team, the front-running team driver really struggling for grip.
Max Verstappen might find a start to the Barcelona Grand Prix for Charles Leclerc after to mount a charge. It's coming though. Ted.
So having not been able to worry George very, very well, he stabilised the gap. We're just about to enter the soft tyre window. Ow! Okay, I didn't think it would be this lap.
He's struggling on the tyres as well.
So it looks like Lewis...
And Hamilton is in the pit lane as possible.
So Mercedes will have to react. So we expect to see Russell in next time around, stack the Mercs, but will they try to do that?
Top 10, there is the Racing Bulls team on his way and back into this race, 6.3 seconds.
We're stopping the leaders from pitting.
From Fernando Alonso on the Cadillac down back. Alonso gets it.
So don't react to that. He's going to three-stop. I think they have to keep track position, keep him in
box and come into the pit lane. So nice, and Max Verstappen next to come in. Let's see where this 2.5 seconds. Russell looks like he's sick. The Max Verstappen's gonna feed out into
the temperature. Russell's came out of the blankets at 70. George Russell, at least his tyres have done one lap less to get him in traffic. I didn't want to get him.
Up the road is the Mercedes of...
Mercedes strategy sensors are telling me this is too early for Antonelli. I thought it was a good radio message. Bully started on the medium tyre buying on there to the McLarens, but Kimi Antonelli was told now we can really get going. And if Antonelli...
As Norris feeds out back into this race, Karun.
Yeah, George Russell thinks the same as you, Ted's up. You've exposed me to Kimi now. So coming back saying, don't worry, I think it's going to be long.
Your new race leader, Kimi Antonelli. Hear from Russell though.
I was managing him at first stint. I needed an update on the plan then, which was really.
Medium's out of the way. They've got two brand new sets of hard compact. Kimi Antonelli in the pits, which will calm George down.
Sent back on his way. Charles Leclerc now inherits the lead. Back in service by Mercedes and sent back on his way. Charles Leclerc coming out back into this race. Hamilton behind as the Italian makes his way ahead.
We normally get a bit of a different phase, don't we? He's working better. They'll give it a twist. It'll all shake out again, and we have that he's got. The other front runners have all got 0.6 of a second after their first second per lap.
And box Charles box. We have the. Hey, let me know on flat. We stay out this lap then. Stay.
Crash yesterday in qualifying. He has an extra set.
Pickup on them. If you run wide, you discard pickup on it because it's a clockwise circuit that take the punishment. The right front, they different geometry because. Most of the time, the right
continuing his fight back after his Audi as they make their way through turns. Mboku started inside the top 10. It's like we'll lose the Cadillac as well. Charles Leclerc end out there, having started this race. Piastri's down in 7th, and here he is.
The team have got a lot of and all sorts of information strategizing a car from the cockpit. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz is under investigation. Perez back in Monaco last time out.
The way he wants it to. Leclerc feeds back.
In fact, both Williams cars.
Cadillac now finds its way back into the garage, and
he had dropped into the high 123s and even 8.6 seconds behind Verstappen. Taking a lot of time. He's hoping, of course, that'll pay dividends.
Making his way around turn 13.
Williams may have had some equipment on.
So doubly frustrating then for the drivers. Way up the inside of Ollie Behrman's Haas and up into down the start-finish straight.
That's a very unorthodox place to original start tyres.
Yeah, so Arvid Lindblad died of the top 10.
And all of those, they've all been annulled, no further.
And the first main flurry of pit and then just faded in the final part.
Treading on eggshells with the throttle, just trying to eke a lot more distance. Exits. They roughly on the left-hand side. You've got a bit of harvesting to do in the battery, but it looks slightly more competitive, doesn't he?
Turn 13. This time Liam Lawson he comes into the pits for Haas.
Yeah, and at least you'll lose. That's half a pit stop this afternoon with the track.
Longer pit stop as well. Sorry, Martin. For the wheel at one point, it looked like they're on alternative strategies. No point as Charles Leclerc continues to circulate out on lead over Lewis Hamilton. First point of the year as we arrive at Monaco, but a penalty denied him of it. Here last year in the Sauber team, made his way up into 5th for that point right now.
Okay, Francos, there's an instruction we need to turn. So into turn 4, please. Turn 4, switch the cars.
Pinto being asked to switch.
In clearer air, the team's impression is that, well, I'm not pushing at the moment. We're in a tyre. But Colapinto's like, well, I'm not pushing at the moment. Where I want to, but pretty much all instructions at all. If I want to, but follow team instructions at all time.
They're in 3rd place. Zone. out there in third road and being told we are on plan C. A few seconds up the road and being told we see. Karoom, what have you got for us? Then this is going to be pretty easy for the Frenchman. Up Arvid Lindblad, and this is going to be pretty easy team. And by the time they get to turn one, Hadjar was back up.
Charles Leclerc in 6th place, enjoying.
Hey, firm, Kimi. Good lap times.
Last lap around a 1:22.0, half a second run. Who we heard from him after the first stint was very.
Don't do that to me again, because there's end it all. There's no point in bringing, if you want to win this race.
They've told him the next 7 laps are criticising us from George Russell Radio. They've told him the next. We've seen Hamilton had a little bit of a push. You can see Antonelli 2 laps later than George, 3 laps later than Lewis.
And being out 0.2 seconds. Hamilton will make that up. He hasn't got that at the moment at 2.2 seconds.
The traffic is going to start having an impact. Then he meets the likes of Ollie Behrman's Haas, Sergio Perez's Cadillac. Then he meets the likes of job out there and just surviving on tyres. Was about to say doing a magnificent job out there and just surviving. Now he has finally come into the pits for Lindblad with his teammate Lenley. Where is he at the moment? He's up in 9th for Lindblad with
first track limits warning. This is going to come alive. Antonelli gets his first track limits warning.
Our race behind, which is what Max Verstappen is very much in our race behind, which is your picture, Charles Leclerc. 9th and 10th.
Leclerc is catching Verstappen very quickly.
5 seconds the gap. Last lap around, a 1:20 that is going significantly quicker. And this.
Allowed to do that.
And the Haas of Esteban Ocon, and he makes struggling really since free practice 1. The front wheels a bit weak,
weak. So the rules are you got to use 2 different. He will pit again, and he's saying
steam past Esteban Ocon for 15th. Ocon is looking quick of those top 5 drivers.
He will pit again, and he's saying, give me
steam past Esteban Ocon for 15th. Ocon starting to
that we're looking at. Yeah, having said that, it is going to be another stop for Lewis Hamilton. Else maybe into 3 stopping today. It's how this pit stop goes.
Just seen him dive into the pit lane to be serviced by Ferrari.
Yeah, this is a bit of a conundrum. George is now only 3.9 ahead of Kimi. And Norris is, as I said, hanging on and coming at Hamilton as well.
Well, find him until Fernando Alonso's just coming through in this race and is a little out there on his own, and then they are both in the same shot.
So this current lap 7/10ths faster.
In some more pace here, or if Antonelli pitted now, he would come out.
They're all trying just such different lines. I noticed I saw Verstappen doing that, and immediately coming at Oscar Piastri.
In Cadillac of Sergio Perez with Bottas out of this one.
We'll be on a 3. We are still racing it.
And that looked good for the 7-time. Now having pitted 1 lap ago, Piastri now down to...
Despite having to go through Oscar Piastri, I guess Mercedes have to keep their calm now. But if they do lose position...
Track limits, so no more of those, please. Otherwise, it's a 5 speed.
Karoon.
So Hamilton undercut George Russell. The gap now 80.6. Last time round, 2.6 behind Hamilton. In fact, I think Lewis, race, isn't it? Does Lewis close down this gap? We think they both have 1 more stop to go.
Feeds back out of this race in 7th place. This is a real seconds.
Yeah, and they're just Russell's about. You've got Bortoletto and Sainz, and he's very close to getting into the overtake of the Grand Prix pace-wise.
The pin and come in for Mercedes, or do they try and do, as Karoon was saying, pull the pin and come in for Mercedes? They will feel the wrath of it. Nico Hülkenberg and a little bit of work going on down there, and he falls out of the points. Could have been on for his first.
Homing in, always Williams to get out of the way down there.
And he is honing in on George Russell away as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Hamilton closing in 10th. Here comes Antonelli then as Sainz come boost as well. Down into turn 1, hits, but is it just starting to come undone for the Brit?
Exactly what happens. So Lewis under pressure here as to what to do. If you leave...
Charles is in forward, you have a different strategy.
You sensed urgent message there was, we might be able to do this.
Step of the rostrum in a Grand Prix. There's a much wider line there.
10.
0.3 of a second. The pit call for Hamilton a few laps ago. Russell, he moves to the middle of the track, defending from Antonelli. Run out of the corner, the two Mercedes almost side. Antonelli's going to get the better run out of the corner. The two teammate as we head towards turn 4.
Playing beauty.
Surely have to make a call at some point. They'll have to stay out. Antonelli, the man who heads the Drivers' Championship, teammate George Russell, but Russell desperate to get
Be with them. And then they've all got to stop one more time.
One thing to keep in our minds is that penalty will come his way. Here he is. No risk for Kimi Antonelli. Is that we tick over for that?
Tiny bit faster on that overall lap, but it was all a bit scruffy in front of him. Actually, they've got Brap with Lawson and Colapinto.
Yeah, it's just
Hamilton now the gap under it, so he's more than half that. Hard to settle down, of course. But to your point, Martin, we're going to attack. It is going to ramp up at some.
Actually, really well. Keep pushing
them really well already with the fastest lap. Last lap around 23.7 for Antonelli, just back.
We are at risk from Norris behind, 3.9 seconds.
Lewis then, he's just to 9.4 now. It's not long now before he'll...
Hamilton just coming out the exit of turn for the race leader.
Turn 12, the Mercedes of George Russell floating. Brilliant air of his teammate now. He's that you not waste time fighting each other, but Russell will now know that, and
even more as he hasn't had to waste time getting through. Hamilton and Leclerc running very different races here.
That's why it's critical for Russell to have kept stop, and that's going to buy him a couple of seconds. 20 laps to go in this race. That's a long way.
Again, so expecting Russell at the end, it within the white lines. Antonelli, one more warning through the right-hander as we come round the Russell, who slows it all down, hits the pit lane for the Brit.
And Hamilton only 4.8 behind Antonelli, their former megastar in the Ferrari. That will then 9 laps on these tyres now, Lewis Hamilton.
Seconds, the race leader, Kimi Antonelli, pitting this Grand Prix. 2.8 seconds stop on the dot out of the pit lane now. This is going to be tight, but he does indeed, as Antonelli feeds in, have the advantage of tyres up to temperature. Behrman's Haas, Behrman gets out of the way, and by
fresh tyres, they very nearly lost track position. What are we going to see between the two Mercedes? Drive the race, doesn't he? So Hamilton out front.
Hamilton out in front, who pitted earlier than into the pits to cover, staying out right come the end of 66 laps, but we're well over out of this one, not in the running. Alpine and heads down into turn 1, and speak of Leclerc.
He's got a set of brand new hard tyres.
Well, he's give everything these 7 laps. It's the critical.
That he'll still have 20 laps to go after that. Let's remember, he's had a set of mediums to build the gap to 16 seconds.
Leclerc riding on board with the... Closes the door on Russell, but Russell would have wanted. Maybe it's what he would have expected.
Same down. Leclerc, of course, is out of phase behind Russell. They're both now lapping. What's going to happen in the closing stages?
Stick with us. Fighting to restart his team. That it's not all about Kimi Antonelli.
Lewis, end of race on that 3-stop.
And turn 9, as you can see on the screen.
Irony of being in front of his home grandstand will lead to a safety car. It's going to be a virtual safety car.
On the grassy part, we do not away from the racing line. So Red Bull are going to use the cheap 12 saying there. So
the moment they saw a yellow flag, Ferrari came out into the pit box. It's going to be an unsafe release, but I don't think the Hamilton set of hard tyres, but then came back into the pit.
Lap, will they not, Ted, to get a cheap pit stop?
About 23 seconds of loss in the pit screen for you. A cheap stop, but priority of 1 lap. Hamilton making his moving to get that cheap stop. Hamilton heads into the pit lane.
Perfect timing for Lewis. And it's played into Ferraris and Lewis. And you can trundle down and this has worked out beautifully. Flat position and just as the for Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton.
Smiled superbly.
And you are in front.
Where he wants to remain. He's made use of the virtual Grand Prix victory wearing red.
The 3-stopper means you and that played perfectly into here. And 4 laps younger than Cutely now. in a key position to win this Grand Prix.
Gap after the virtual safety car, 2.9 seconds between Kimi Antonelli holding third. We also lost Alex Albon in the Williams. Some pounds, a miserable weekend for him and Williams in his 90
car that has not played well for George Russell. Norris right in there as well. Still very...
Don't forget about him either, just setting the fastest lap. Try and play the team game and hold up George Russell a thick ahead in the form of the sole remaining Williams.
That's the race up ahead of you.
Martin, he was out in front, now he's doing the chasing.
Lap, the top three all did a personal, but Hamilton appears to have the tyres. He can control this. If he can keep pumping in here, you leave time on the table. You don't want to scorch your tyres.
It's been noted by race control, but that is worth keeping in mind. George Russell in second, Gasly, and actually his Alpine teammate Franco Colapinto, who rather lost out on that. So too did Arvid Lindblad.
So the top four covered by 6 seconds of this Grand Prix, and there's no traffic ahead of him there. He's got any traffic to worry about. He can really say these. Hamilton is storming away at the front.
Ferrari, he's got an edge this season, feeling more at home with the team, a change to his perhaps a happy wave goodbye to the ground.
Flag infringement. He really needs to build at least a 10 seconds on at this pace. That won't be too difficult, but that flag infringement. Have you seen anything, Karun?
On the right-hand side, on the approach to turn, approaching the car. So you could see he does pretty committed through turn 9. Now what the stewards will be looking at efficiently for the yellow flag, and be sure that the timing is tricky because it will be 50 yards behind Alonso's cars.
On the exit of this corner, as it happens, yellow started flying.
Thanks for that gap, just teetering over to 4.7 seconds ahead of Russell. Antonelli still having to keep an eye to his chest and hoping for something to filter out. We just saw Arvid Lindblad getting through on Carlos, about 16 seconds behind his own teammate. So racing.
Keep an eye on also Leclerc and Verstappen. They're quite back there, but Leclerc, 20. Hamilton probably gained 9-10 seconds on his from the 7-time world champion. He just looking very serene, very far.
Some dark times for him and Ferrari last season. Looked confident in that Ferrari.
On this track, as we've seen earlier on in the race, to bring
8 upgrades to the car. Nico Rosberg was giving them a 1/10 of a second more.
6 seconds, and if you win a Grand Prix by that most of the time.
Yeah, and Hamilton isn't operating. 9 for George Russell. Saying not with the answer right now. Other Kleins is about to lose 13th place. So you can see there on the left-hand side of your picture, the Brazilian position and into 13th.
I can imagine that red paint because he was right on top of it when it was starting it. On the outside of turn 10, because
right, lap 49 of 66 of the Barcelona. Some kind of response. Joining us on the pit wall. Afternoon to you, James. Alex Albon looks like he had to retire. Probably a bit busy right now for us, so we'll. Oh, I know, back out on track. What were his issues in the pit lane?
Wall hoop that came loose, and so for safety reasons, pit lane.
Thanks, Jay. Sorry, he's also struggling out there. So, some your hopes and dreams for Carlos Sainz, who...
Yeah, I mean, that's the facts behind it. He's doing a brilliant job with what he's got. The main thing now is we are still racing bare minimum.
James.
There was an item, not so much, but we need to be checking it more careful.
Him out front now and looking very, very strong.
He's definitely got his mojo, and it's great to see him out there.
Thank you, James Vowles, for your time. Best of luck for the...
So Lando, at the end of the race, I want to be with...
He's being given the hurry up and apply pressure.
Penalty. That's fair enough to hang on to those 2 Mercedes today at Piastri. So he's really and Mercedes in this race on the longer stint.
Penalties cleared of any indiscretion. Lewis, your outright race leader, Ferrari, who now only in red, already stood on the top step of a potentially in red, already to a first victory, potentially Ferrari a couple of years ago in China, but he's been running well this year.
The track somewhere, because he'll get a 5-second view, but
Ferrari a couple of years ago.
Penalty, the tools available to T.
Your picture now, and safety car from Fernando Alonso though. going for that alternative strategy against swung back the way of Hamilton and Ferrari.
Get any talk of getting lucky with the safety car.
Yeah.
Pace, the way he was going in all of the... It's given him track position, but he's got such pace.
You're right, that gap now over 11 seconds. Antonelli, the man that stepped into the cockpit and has been so far not looked like it's on the cards today.
Antonelli's headrest there, his neck's gone. It's going over, as look, even in turn 4, pathetic feeling in the world when he can't be forced. So it won't happen on the left hand, a little bit squirrely in 10, but just in the second sector to the Mercedes.
On the neck, though, for Kimi Antonelli, will others be?
I don't know. They might well be, because hitching up the left-hand side of your tyres, you're doing the same. What was surprising with Antonelli is that his neck was going pretty much in the centre of the car.
Belgian Grand Prix. Are we about to see that tick? Lewis Hamilton, with all of his exciting the machinery, Hamilton provides off that Ferrari. Maybe a bit of luck with the virtuals from those two Mercedes.
I think Russell's lucky turn 10 zone I've been talking about, but 9 laps including this one. At the moment there's no point in swapping them around at risk from Lando Norris, but he'll be so fast down the pit straight.
Calm down, bring the temps down, settle and have another go. Might get overtakes, so just watch this, because Antonelli, 41 years old, he's keeping his head upright for those hammer timers. I didn't hear that, didn't hear bye.
The neck has still got it. Continues to extend that lead now, nearly 13.
He's really chancing his arm against the track limit. He can say, let me through, but again, then Norris is within the, well within the...
Beaming free suggestion.
Hamilton wants to be left to it. Try and find it back on the transcript for you. The zone and wants to be left to it, and I suppose you can't blame
I'm doing. Leave me alone. Around here, Lewis Hamilton. And
Lewis Hamilton, 6 victories around this track as we have action in the pit lane.
So we've had Carlos Sainz and now, but I think he will keep the pins on Gasly. So he's just put the soft tyres and gone to stay off the curbs. But anyway, that's what he's done. So it was, and then the last bit, Martin, they were just telling him of his last and second the last 2 races in Canada.
Antonelli still fancies second place in this, so they can have once again in the second half of a stint. And
Russell trying to keep it clean.
This might be it.
Around the final. That start-finish straight moves to the middle of the track. Antonelli gets in front. Can Russell fight back with the up? Without a fight, but Antonelli into the braking for turn 4. Russell sticking with bail out of it as they come to the downhill braking and gets himself up into second.
Yeah, Parted moved right. He didn't want to go far right because it's so tight of the track. Wasn't out of order because he left him width as well. So, and he's to carry the pace better, and have got enough pace as we're now into lap 6.
Front wing end plate hanging off. There it is. Damage to the front.
I suspect that got damaged when he was on the down the pit straight.
It's like exit, then 10 exit.
Antonelli's slowing. He stopped over and slowing and coming to us. And the engine's gone. Mercedes, as Charles Leclerc's going slow at 7th, has he just picked up?
Oh, I'm losing the power steering.
Is the throttle as well? Maybe gear shifts affect.
It was all sorted. Virtuals, that crucially, it's not a full safety car.
Yeah, I was going to say, it means nothing while he lost the power steering and the car went off. In the closing stages, Hamilton, World Championship leader from wing, because that was pretty minor. It's clearly unless they go full safety car, but once close to a service road, once they get it.
Hamilton being told to stay out.
Stay out. Yeah, I mean, he has remain in front. That is okay. He is retiring, but Ferrari regrouping now in Grand Prix. Leclerc's car's just sitting there while they...
Yeah, and they're going to find with Antonelli's car has got... And so that was the service road I was mentioning. So we front, the gap's always spread when they're going at these. He wants to get back up to speed, and they couldn't quite get it, the Formula 1 cars. Because of the fat front tyre. I'm pretty sure we will go green on Hamilton's car and championship to George Russell in Canada. Oh, look,
that's too tight a turning circle.
Didn't it? It's almost out of the way, but you can't get the angle of that car. We might.
This could end under a virtual safety car. It's him to see it first. Russell and Norris at the most. The 8 US Grand Prix. Back then it was fast forward to 2026. VSC is coming to an end. It's going to be a Lewis Hamilton en route to the one.
Yeah, he's lost a bit of tyre temperature and brake temperature. Next time through this turn 10, it'll be for Ferrari.
Last time Ferrari on the top step in any. A final lap to go, because only a few corners away, Ferrari with that yellow helmet shining, the grandstands cheering, and on the way now to victory with
on strategy done, and yeah, a point now because he's out of the Grand Prix, but Lewis towards a very famous victory, and he's
now second season at Ferrari, and Hamilton is back on the Catalunya Grand Prix. And he can now a 7-time winner with George Russell and Lando Norris. 1968, history belongs to him.
It's a great result. A sting in the tail, weren't we? It didn't come posed drive from Lewis. It's in the ground effect era. He's been so much happier this.
Finally, you got you deserved it.
Woo! Thank you so much. You helped me achieve this back at home. I'm so proud of you for continuing to remind me who I am.